You're listening to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with Stacey Cann, the podcast that celebrates innovation in franchising and peeks behind the curtain of failure, success, and the future of the franchise industry.
In today's episode, we are talking about the cost of not upgrading in your business. And I'm not talking about like upgrading to a particular software or starting to do a particular thing. I'm talking about what it actually costs you in your business every day for you to be doing some things that you really shouldn't be doing. I'm going to start off with something that we can all relate to, I'm sure. Manual data entry. Blah, it's horrible. But we do it because we think, oh, I'm just going to copy this thing over here, or I'm just going to put that thing into the spreadsheet, or like franchisee figures, for example. Like, let's say you get a report from your franchisees every single month, and on that report is their financials, their figures. And hopefully not everyone's doing this, but the old school way of doing it was to take every single report and then put it into a bigger spreadsheet so that you can analyze it, right? We shouldn't be doing that in 2026. We just shouldn't. But I know that there are franchisors out there and business owners that are doing things like that. Things like getting your data from marketing. Like if you've got your monthly Google Ads report, for example, well, you can schedule that to send to yourself at the end of every month. It doesn't cost you anything. But have you bothered to do the scheduling? Or are you going, I'll do that next month. I'll just log in quickly this time. I think the cost really happens when we just do this thing or just do it quickly, because we trick ourselves into, oh, it's not a big deal. How many times in a week or a month or a year does I'm just going to do this thing actually cost you real money? I think the biggest problem here, the mindset of it all, is that we think that it doesn't cost us money, but it costs us time. And without being all Gordon Gekko, time is money. That time that you spend doing something manual could be time spent doing something better, or, a bit of freedom back, or whatever it is that you'd rather spend your time on. So you're keeping yourself stuck with all these little manual processes of like the data entry and things like that, for sure. Not scheduling reports when you could just have them, turn up. You don't need software for this. It's all out there. You can do it all. A really good example actually is franchisee figures. So when I worked in a franchise, we used to have like all the franchisee figures come on a spreadsheet, and then we transfer those like individual numbers, which we'd have to chase them for, into a bigger spreadsheet. Well, actually, it saved hours every month in doing it by setting up formulas in the spreadsheet. But it was a complex formula and it was a bit tricky. But you've got two options there now. You either go on a course and learn how to do it, or we live in this amazing time where we can ask ChatGPT what the right formula is, and it can help us to build the formula out. So we don't have to get all vibe code techie, but we can go and use the tools that are there to make just the simplest things easier. Denise Duffield Thomas calls this like upgrading to a first class life. It doesn't mean that you have to spend money on first class tickets. It's about, what are those minor kind of catching areas that we can just go and improve a little bit. So I really want you to ask yourself this week as you listen, like, where am I doing that in my business? Another really good example is when, I'm eldest child syndrome here, 100% eldest daughter, but I'm going to do it myself. It's quicker if I do it myself. No one will do it like me. I'm just going to do it. Podcast, I'm going to do all the marketing for the podcast. Well, that delays the podcast some weeks because I'm busy. I'm busy with revenue generating activity, or I'm busy with client work, and my clients have my absolute focus. So my work gets shifted back out of the way. And that's the cost. That's costing me visibility. It's costing me marketing. It's costing me potential sales because I'm sitting on it. And, I have outsourced at various different times, but of course no one can do it like me. I'm not talking about this bit where I record the podcast. I'm talking about all the other stuff that happens behind the scenes to push this episode out. So trying to do it all yourself, where in your franchise are you trying to do it all yourself? If you're a franchisee and you haven't taken anybody on, probably significant fear around that. Well, the class, people expect me to turn up and be the one that leads the class or delivers the service. All the way to like, what if they prefer the teacher to me, or not employee necessarily, but the worker? What if I get shoved out of my business? Like, that's a nice problem to have, Because if you've got that freedom, you can spend it on your personal life, like I did when I was a management franchisee. I had really small kids. Or you can go and get more sales in and build your business bigger. You're never going to be stuck for what to do with that time. So what are you doing yourself that you should, and you should be outsourcing to somebody else? And sometimes that outsourcing is to another person. So I've got a marketing exec, for example, and she does stuff that I want a human to be doing. Sometimes it's about, that upgrade is a automation in your business. Like, for example, when somebody downloads a brochure and you have a set of automations that then take them through the next steps, that doesn't have to be you as a person. You can automate all of that and save yourself a huge amount of time. But it also brings more consistency. Like I just said with the podcast there, if you've got someone whose job it is, or if you've got a timed automation, it's going to happen regardless of whether you feel like it or not, or whether you've got time or not, or whether the kids are off sick or on school holidays or not. It's just going to happen because you've set yourself up for the success of having it happen. Working from spreadsheets is my next one. Got a real ick on this. I love a spreadsheet, I'm not going to lie, but we shouldn't be running databases, particularly with people and GDPR, through manual spreadsheets. So if your franchise recruitment is kind of stuck because you need to go and update the spreadsheet, I used to have this thing, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit it, but I will because it's just you guys, that if an inquiry came in at like 8 o'clock at night, I'd be checking on my phone, but I wouldn't go back to them until I was at my laptop. Because in my head, I didn't want to go back to them and not update the spreadsheet. Sounds madness talking about it out loud. I didn't want to not update the spreadsheet because I might forget or I might miss them out or something might happen. So I was in my own way there. And I tell you what, I bet I'm not the only one. I bet some of you are still doing that, even in 2026 as we record this episode. So do you need to go and do that? Now, again, I'm a trained analyst. I spent a year or two working as an analyst at a company. I like to look at the data on the spreadsheet and play with it and manipulate it. But you know what? It's not the best use of my time when I can give it to Claude and have Claude just analyze it for me and give me the insights. So again, where are the tools that you need to let go of? A lot of it's habit as well. We do it because we always did. And that habit, again, it's costing you money in your business. So let it go. My next one is designs on Canva. Oh, Canva. I would love to track how much time last year I spent actually in Canva, just doing it quickly. I'll just put this thing together. I'll just create that thing. I've got a template. I'll just change it. Right? You're not a designer. Sometimes, go in and do the quick thing. We can't all afford to spend money on designer. I get that. But equally, you could have a designer create you a set of templates that live in Canva that make it quicker for you to update. I mean, now, if you want to get really fancy, you can then hook those templates up to something like Claude and have Claude update the templates for you once you tell it what to put in there. So we don't do that though, because we go, the executive function to go and learn how to do that is taxing because you're already doing all of the things in your business. But I bet if you spent a day a month just dedicated to optimizing how you work, I bet you get significant gains. And the reason it's costing you to not do these upgrades is because all that time that you trick yourself into, I'll just do this, ... I'll just do that Canva design. I'll just put this into the spreadsheet. I'll just do the data entry. I'll just ... That time adds up. And it's time that you could be spending with your family. It's time that you could be spending taking somebody on. It's time that you could be spending doing something that actually generates revenue in your business. When I look at franchise businesses by franchisors and franchisees, one of the key reasons that they aren't making the money that they want is because they're not spending their time on money-making activity. Just let that sit there for a minute. Ask yourself, how many hours a week do you spend on money-generating activity? I'm talking about marketing, not Canva, actual marketing. I'm talking about networking, getting out in person. I'm talking about, looking at your commercial models, seeing what's working and acting on different changes that you need to make. How much time are you spending on those things to grow your business? Because that's what being a business owner is. You don't want to be the chief of everything. You want to be the chief of the business. The other one that I see a lot of is posting on socials. I'm not going to call anyone specific out here, but in the last 2 weeks, I've spoken to a significant number of people. We see this a lot in the agency where they, like, maybe a franchisor can post across like 2 different channels. And then they go, well, that's fine, because what I'll do is I'll take from what gets posted there and I will then just manually go and put it over here. It's 2026. Why are we wasting that time? In our agency, we onboarded somebody this week, and she had access to our marketing suite, and she can connect all of her socials if she wants, multiple Facebook pages, everything. But when we went through the onboarding, she just connected a couple, and she's like, oh, I can just post from that to there and I can manually do that. And I said, why would you? Just connect the account, and then it's one button click and it goes out to all of them at once. It blew her mind because we're so used to it being hard. I think we expect everything to be hard, but we make it hard for ourselves. We absolutely do. So a lot of this comes into sunk cost. I'll do it this way because I've always done it this way. A lot of it comes into mindset. I can't afford to upgrade and optimize my business. Well, of course you can. Even in tiny little ways, they make a big difference. 1% marginal gain would be massive if you made that 1% marginal gain every week. Like, incredible. It's like 58%, 58, 56%, 52% even. I don't know how many weeks of the year there are today. 52% increase just if you made 1% a week, let alone the cumulative effect of that. And we haven't even gotten into like vibe coding. Oh my goodness. Quick story on this. So my exec was spending hours creating video content based on like what our clients record for us in the agency. And I had to do it the week that she was away. And it drove me crazy, the amount of time, and I had to go into this system and then drag it over here and then upload it here. And so I spent the afternoon vibe coding on Lovable. So between Claude and Lovable, I did have to pay like the credits and stuff, but it meant that I could create an entire video tool that did about 75% of the manual work just from uploading one video in one place. And that is exciting. It cost me time up front, but it's going to save her hours and hours a month, which in turn is going to save me money. So it's looking about those little wins, and you don't have to be that advanced, but that's a really good kind of top end example. To stop keeping yourself broke. You deserve better. You can do better in any business that you run. But you've got to let go of all the things that you're doing for the sake of doing them first. I'll leave you with that. This episode was brought to you by Impact Franchising, the agency who offer predictable franchise growth done for you. If you have loved what you've heard, please go and help other people find it by hitting the subscribe button and liking the episode. See you on the next one.